When I was in 5th grade, I was just a quiet, shy kid. I wasn't confident or pretty. I wore plain clothes, hand-me-down jeans, simple t-shirts. I never did my hair fancy because honestly, I didn't know how. I just brushed it straight down and let it hang over my face. It was long, almost down to my waist, and it made me feel safe. Like a little curtain I could hide behind when people stared. My older sister, Anna, was the opposite. She was 16, loud, confident, and popular. She had perfect skin, shiny hair, and friends who came over all the time. They would sit in her room for hours doing makeup and gossiping about other girls. I used to walk past her door and hear her laughing. Sometimes she would call other girls ugly, or say things like I would die if I looked like that. Deep inside, I always wondered if she thought the same about me. She never really talked to me with kindness. She talked at me, with annoyance or fake sweetness that felt sharp like a knife. I avoided her when I could, but there was no escape at home. One week before school picture day, Anna started paying extra attention to me. At first, I thought maybe she would finally be nice. But I was wrong. Every time she saw me, she wrinkled her nose and said my hair looked horrible. She kept telling me it was uneven and looked like trash. She said everyone would laugh at me in my school pictures and that I would regret it forever. She didn't say it once or twice. She said it every single day that week. At breakfast, she would suddenly look up from her cereal and tell me how disgusting my hair looked. When I brushed my teeth before bed, she would walk by and say it looked like I cut it myself in the dark. She didn't say these things out of care. She said them with disgust in her voice. Like I was an embarrassment to her existence. I tried ignoring her, but it started getting into my head. I was only 10. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. Her words felt like truth. Each insult became a new crack in my confidence. I started looking in the mirror, thinking maybe she was right. Maybe it really did look stupid. The night before picture day, I finally caved. My hands were shaking when I walked into her room. She was sitting at her vanity, curling her hair, spraying her expensive perfume. I stood there, staring at the floor, feeling so small and worthless. I told her she could trim my hair. But I begged her to only cut the very bottom to make it straight. I told her not to touch the shorter pieces around my face. I was so scared to even say it, but I thought if I explained clearly, she wouldn't mess up. She smirked like she had won a battle she was fighting all week. She told me to sit down in her chair. My heart was beating so fast. I could hear the scissors snipping softly as she trimmed the ends. For a moment, I felt relieved. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Maybe she just wanted to help me look better after all. But then everything changed in 1 second. Without warning, she grabbed a chunk of hair from the side of my face, the exact part one told her not to touch, and cut it off. I heard the metallic snip, then felt the hair slide down onto my lap. I froze. My heart stopped. I felt my whole body turn hot and cold at the same time. I screamed out loud, asking her what she had just done. My voice was shaking and full of panic. Tears instantly filled my eyes and blurred my vision. My chest felt tight like I couldn't breathe. She told me to relax because she was just giving me bangs. She sounded so casual, like it was no big deal. But it was a big deal. My long hair was the only thing that made me feel pretty. She grabbed the other side of my hair and cut again to make it even. But it wasn't matching, so she cut the first side shorter. Then back to the other side. Each snip sounded like thunder in my ears. She kept going shorter and shorter. I just sat there frozen, silent tears running down my cheeks. When she was done, I looked in the mirror and didn't even recognize myself. My bangs were crooked, uneven, too short. My face looked rounder, my tears making my cheeks shiny red. I felt ugly. I felt like a joke. Anna just smirked at me, satisfied with her work, and told me it looked better. Then she turned back to curling her own perfect hair as if nothing happened. The next morning was picture day. I got ready without looking in the mirror. When I walked into class, everyone noticed immediately. One boy called me mushroom head. Another girl whispered to her friend that I looked like I cut my hair with kitchen scissors. I felt like crawling under my desk and disappearing forever. When it was my turn for pictures, I just sat there, staring blankly at the camera, trying not to cry again. The photographer tried to get me to smile, but I couldn't. I felt like my life was ruined. When I got home that day, I avoided Anna completely. I didn't speak to her, didn't look at her, didn't even breathe in her direction. But deep inside, something in me snapped. I didn't want to be that helpless little sister anymore. I wanted her to feel the way I felt, disgusted, powerless, humiliated. I wanted revenge, but I didn't even know what revenge looked like yet. I was just a 10-year-old girl, drowning in sadness and anger, looking for a way to survive. A day or two later, I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth. My eyes wandered to the toothbrush holder on the counter. There were 2 toothbrushes, mine and hers. Her toothbrush was pink with little purple flowers on it. It stood there, innocent and clean, waiting to be used that night. My eyes slowly drifted from her toothbrush, to the toilet, and back to her toothbrush. My heart started pounding. I felt this dark energy bubbling up inside me, a wickedness I didn't know I was capable of. I reached out, grabbed her toothbrush with my small shaking hands, and lifted the toilet lid. I stood there staring into the dirty toilet water, my chest rising and falling rapidly. I felt powerful for the first time in my life. Without thinking, I plunged her toothbrush into the toilet bowl. I started scrubbing it under the brim, along the sides, down into the water, making sure no part was left untouched. The bristles bent and twisted as I pushed it against the porcelain. When I was done, I rinsed it lightly under the tap, just enough to make it look normal. Then I put it back in the holder exactly where it was. That night, I waited. I pretended to read a book in my room, but I was listening for her footsteps. I heard her go into the bathroom, turn on the faucet, and start brushing her teeth. I closed my eyes and felt this deep, dark happiness blooming inside me. For the first time in days, I smiled. And I didn't stop there. Every single day after that, for weeks and months, I cleaned the toilet with her toothbrush. It became my secret ritual. Whenever I felt sad about my hair or ugly because of what she did, I would remember what I did to her toothbrush, and instantly feel better. She had no idea. She kept using it every morning and night, brushing her perfect teeth with toilet water and germs. And I kept smiling silently to myself, feeling like I finally had some control in my life. I never told anyone what I did. Not my parents. Not my friends. Not even years later when I was grown up and married. It was my dark secret, locked away in my mind like a little treasure chest of revenge. 15 years later, when I was in my mid-20s, we were all having dinner at my parents' house. Someone brought up old school pictures and bad haircuts. Anna laughed and said something about how she saved my hair before picture day by giving me bangs. That was it. I couldn't hold back anymore. I looked straight at her and told her the truth. I told her she didn't save my hair, she destroyed it, and because of that, I cleaned the toilet with her toothbrush every single day for months. The whole table went silent. Anna turned bright red. She started gagging, screaming that I was disgusting and sick in the head. But I just sat there, calmly eating my dinner, feeling lighter than I had in years. That day, she learned an important lesson. She thought she could bully me forever and I would stay weak and silent. But she was wrong. My revenge wasn't loud or violent. It was quiet, hidden, disgusting, and perfectly satisfying. Seeing her gag and scream 15 years later gave me the closure I never knew I needed. It was the final piece of healing for the worst haircut of my life. Looking back, was it petty and disgusting? Absolutely. But was it deserved? Every single second. Sometimes, when people treat us like dirt, we have no choice but to find power in the smallest, darkest places. My sister destroyed my confidence that day, but I made sure she brushed her teeth with the taste of karma for months. If this story gave you chills or made you laugh in disgust, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen or done yourself? And of course, subscribe for more real-life revenge stories that prove karma always finds a way.